The vast Imperial fleet hung silently against the backdrop of stars, their sleek vessels arranged in perfect formation. Admiral Tejo stood with hands clasped behind his back, observing the viewscreen with keen interest. After 500 years of service to the Emperor, he had seen countless alien civilizations fall before Imperial might. This mission would be no different. "Admiral, we've detected unusual energy signatures from the third planet," reported Officer Jaiwu, her four-fingered hand moving gracefully across the control panel. Tejo nodded. "Analysis?" "The signals suggest a developing civilization. They appear to have achieved spaceflight, but their technology is primitive by Imperial standards." The Admiral smiled. "This would be simple, another species to bring into the glorious Empire. Proceed with standard contact protocol. Prepare the subjugation fleet." The massive Imperial ships moved forward with precision, their engines barely visible as they approached the solar system. According to Imperial doctrine, a show of overwhelming force typically led to immediate surrender, saving lives on both sides. As they neared the fourth planet, sensors detected movement. A single ship emerged from behind one of the moons. "Magnify," ordered Tejo. The image on the viewscreen showed a vessel unlike any in the Imperial records. It was bulky and asymmetrical, with visible thrusters and what appeared to be crude weapons systems. By Imperial standards, it looked almost handmade. "They send one ship to greet us?" Tejo laughed. "Either very brave or very foolish." "The vessel is hailing us, Admiral," said Jaiwu. "Open communications." The screen flickered, revealing a human woman sitting casually in what appeared to be the ship's command center. She wore a simple uniform without elaborate decorations and was drinking from a steaming cup. Behind her, other humans worked at various stations, some glancing curiously at the camera. "This is Captain Minha of the Earth exploration vessel Curiosity," she said with a relaxed smile. "Welcome to the Sol system. You've brought quite the parade with you." Tejo was momentarily stunned by her casual demeanor. Where was the awe? The fear? He gathered himself quickly. "I am High Admiral Tejo of the 7th Imperial Fleet. In the name of Emperor Dohayan the Magnificent, ruler of 10,000 worlds and guardian of the cosmic order, I claim this system and all its inhabitants for the Galactic Empire." Captain Minha took a sip from her cup and raised an eyebrow. "That's a fancy speech, but I'm afraid Earth isn't really looking for new management at the moment." She smiled again. "But we're always open to making new friends." The bridge of the Imperial flagship went silent. No species had ever responded this way to first contact. Tejo's voice hardened. "Perhaps you misunderstand, Captain. This is not a request. The Empire has brought peace and order to the galaxy for 50,000 years. Your resistance would be futile and regrettable." "Oh, we understand perfectly," Minha replied, setting down her cup. "But humans have a bit of an issue with being claimed. Long history with that sort of thing. Didn't work out well for the claimers." Officer Jaiwu approached Tejo, whispering, "Admiral, our scans indicate their ship has minimal defensive capabilities. Their weapons appear to be basic projectile launchers and low-yield energy weapons." Tejo nodded, confidence returning. "Captain Minha, your bravery is admirable but misplaced. Your technology is centuries behind ours. In the interest of preserving life, I suggest immediate surrender." To his surprise, several of the humans on the bridge started laughing. Captain Minha herself chuckled, shaking her head. "Admiral, I think we're getting off on the wrong foot here. Why don't we start over? We're not looking for a fight, we're explorers. And you folks seem interesting. Want to send over a delegation? We make pretty good coffee." Before Tejo could respond, Officer Jaiwu gasped. "Admiral! We're detecting multiple ships emerging from behind the planet's moon." The view screen shifted to show dozens of vessels appearing seemingly from nowhere. Unlike the first ship, these were sleek and deadly looking, moving with surprising speed into defensive positions. "Impossible," muttered Tejo. "Our sensors detected nothing." Captain Minha's voice came through again, still casual but with a hint of steel underneath. Those are just a few of our friends coming to say hello. Standard procedure when we meet new people. You understand, I'm sure. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Tejo felt uncertain. These humans shouldn't have been able to mask their ships from Imperial sensors. Perhaps, he said carefully, a diplomatic meeting would be appropriate. Wonderful. Minha smiled broadly. Let's get to know each other properly. After all, the galaxy's a big place. Room enough for all of us, don't you think? As Tejo looked at the human ships, now equal in number to his own fleet, he couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was not going according to Imperial protocol at all. Of the Imperial delegation prepared to board the human space station called Gateway. Admiral Tejo had chosen his most imposing officers, Commander Hyojin with her razor-sharp claws and reflective scales, Lieutenant Juno who stood nearly 3 meters tall, and Science Officer Jaiwu whose analytical mind had decoded 100 alien languages. Remember, Tejo instructed them, display appropriate Imperial dignity. These humans must learn their place in the cosmic order. Their shuttle docked with precise Imperial efficiency. The airlock cycled, and the doors opened to reveal a surprisingly plain corridor. No honor guards. No ceremonial banners. Just 3 humans in simple uniforms waiting with casual smiles. Welcome to Gateway Station, said the middle human, a man with short black hair. I'm Diplomat Jae-hyun. These are my colleagues Suman and Dongo. We're really pleased to meet you. Tejo frowned. No formal reception? Emperor Do-hyun will be displeased by this lack of protocol. The humans exchanged glances. Sorry about that, Jae-hyun replied. We weren't expecting guests until next week. But we've prepared a conference room and some refreshments. Please, follow us. As they walked through the station, the Imperial delegation observed humans going about their daily business. Some nodded politely, others simply continued working. None showed the expected deference to Imperial visitors. The conference room was functional but plain, a large table, comfortable chairs, and a view screen showing Earth below. On the table sat various containers of food and drink. Please, help yourselves, said Suman, gesturing to the spread. We weren't sure what you might like, so we included a variety of Earth delicacies. Lieutenant Juno scanned the offerings with a handheld device. The substances appear safe for our consumption, he reported. Admiral Tejo took his seat at the head of the table, only to notice that Jae-hyun had casually seated himself at the other end, a position of equal status. This was unprecedented. Now, Tejo began, activating his datapad. Let us discuss the terms of your world's integration into the Empire. He projected a holographic document, the standard Imperial subjugation treaty that had brought 1,000 worlds to their knees. The Empire offers generous terms. Only 30% resource taxation. Military service for 20% of your population. You may maintain your cultural practices as long as they don't conflict with Imperial doctrine. The humans listened politely. When Tejo finished, Jae-hyun leaned forward with interest. That's quite the proposal, he said. But we were thinking more along the lines of a trade partnership. Exchange of knowledge, cultural sharing, that sort of thing. Tejo blinked all 4 of his eyes in succession. Perhaps I was unclear. This is not a negotiation. The humans exchanged glances again, and to Tejo's shock, they began to laugh. I'm sorry, said Jae-hyun, composing himself. But that's not how Earth does things. We're an independent planet, and we intend to stay that way. Commander Hyojin's scales rippled with anger. You dare laugh at the Empire? Your civilization is barely space-capable. Our scans show your vessels use primitive nuclear fusion and chemical propellants. Suman smiled, taking a sip from her cup. Those old things? Those are just our economical models. We keep the fun stuff for special occasions. Science Officer Jaiwo tilted her head. Our scans detected no advanced technology. Your defensive capabilities appear minimal. Really? Dongo asked, seeming genuinely curious. That's interesting. Maybe your sensors need calibration. Admiral Tejo had encountered resistance before, but never this casual dismissal. It was infuriating. "Perhaps you don't understand your situation," he said coldly. "The Empire controls 10,000 worlds. Our technology is the pinnacle of galactic achievement. Resistance would be..." "Excuse me," interrupted Jae-hyun, checking a small device on his wrist. "Sorry about this, but we've just received word that your ships are scanning our lunar mining facility." "Is that part of your standard procedure?" Taeho hadn't ordered any such scan. "My fleet follows my orders," he said firmly. "Of course," Jae-hyun nodded. "Just thought you should know that those facilities have automated defenses. Nothing serious, but they might mistake intense scans for targeting systems." As if on cue, Lieutenant Juno's communicator beeped. "Admiral," he reported after checking it, "the inevitable conquest reports their scanning systems have been disabled." Disabled? How? They're not certain. Some kind of feedback pulse. Dongo winced. "Sorry about that. The automated systems can be a bit sensitive. No permanent damage, I hope?" The casual way he said it, as if discussing minor weather, sent a chill through Taeho. Either the humans were bluffing, or they possessed defensive technology far beyond what Imperial scans had detected. "Perhaps," Taeho said carefully, "we should discuss technological exchange before proceeding to political arrangements." Jae-hyun brightened. "Now you're talking. We have lots of interesting innovations we'd be happy to share. And I'm sure your empire has developed fascinating technologies as well." As the conversation shifted to technical matters, Taeho found himself increasingly confused. These humans spoke of their technology as if it were commonplace, yet described principles that contradicted established imperial science. Something was very wrong here. Either the Empire's intelligence was deeply flawed, or these humans were the most convincing bluffers in the galaxy. And Admiral Taeho was no longer certain which possibility troubled him more. Admiral Taeho paced the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, his patience wearing thin. The diplomatic meeting with the humans had yielded nothing useful. Their casual dismissal of imperial authority was unprecedented and deeply troubling. "These humans need to learn respect," he announced to his officers. "Prepare a demonstration of imperial power." Lieutenant Juno looked up from his station. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "Target their uninhabited mining facility on the smaller moon. A single destroyer should be sufficient. We will show them what Imperial technology can do." The Imperial destroyer Inevitable Conquest moved into position above the lunar surface. From orbit, the human mining facility looked primitive, metal structures connected by transparent tubes, with what appeared to be simple defense turrets. "Weapons locked on target, Admiral," reported Commander Hyojin from the weapons console. "Fire when ready." The destroyer discharged its main particle beam. A weapon that could slice through planetary crust. The brilliant blue energy streaked toward the lunar surface. What happened next shocked every Imperial officer watching. The beam struck what appeared to be empty space about a kilometer above the facility. Instead of continuing to the surface, it spread out like water hitting an invisible dome, dissipating harmlessly. "Impossible," whispered Juno. "Scan that shield," ordered Taeho, his outer hearts beating rapidly. Before Officer Jaiwo could complete the scan, a message came through. "Admiral, the humans are hailing us." The view screen activated, showing Captain Minha in what looked like a control room. She was wearing a helmet now, and behind her, humans were moving quickly between stations. Some appeared to be celebrating. "Hi again, Admiral," she said cheerfully. "Was that a hello or did your weapons system malfunction?" Taeho struggled to maintain his composure. "That was a demonstration of Imperial power. Your shielding technology is unexpected." "Oh, that old thing?" Minha replied. "That's just our standard mining facility protection. Keeps out micrometeorites and radiation." She took a sip from her ever-present cup. "If you wanted to test our defenses, you should have just asked. Our shield engineers haven't had a good workout in months." Officer Jaiwu approached Taeho, speaking quietly. "Admiral, the energy readings make no sense. That shield absorbed energy equivalent to a small nuclear detonation without any apparent power source. Taeho turned back to the screen. Your technology contradicts our understanding of physics. Different approaches, I guess, Minha shrugged. Want to try again? We've got some new countermeasures we'd love to field test. Before Taeho could respond, his tactical officer called out an alarm. Admiral! 3 vessels just appeared around the inevitable conquest. The view screen split to show 3 human ships that had seemingly materialized out of nowhere. Unlike the boxy, utilitarian vessel they first encountered, these were angular, predatory-looking craft bristling with what appeared to be weapons. Their hulls were covered in layers of strange material that seemed to absorb sensor scans. Impossible, Taeho whispered again. Our sensors detected nothing. Don't worry, Captain Minha said. Those are just the Defiance, Resilience, and Audacity standard patrol vessels. They're under strict orders not to fire unless fired upon. On the screen, the human ships launched what looked like small projectiles toward the Imperial destroyer. Taeho tensed, but the objects merely attached to the hull, blinking with small lights. What are those devices? He demanded. Just tracking markers, Minha explained casually. They help us monitor position during exercises. If we wanted to do damage, we'd have used the fun toys. She smiled. Consider it a friendly exchange of capabilities. Taeho felt cold sweat on his skin. In 50 years of service, he had never encountered technology that could evade Imperial sensors so completely. Recall the destroyer, he ordered quietly. As the inevitable conquest retreated, Science Officer Jaiwoo approached with her analysis. Admiral, preliminary scans of those human vessels show technology unlike anything in our records. They appear to use gravitational manipulation for propulsion and have hulls composed of materials that actively absorb and redirect sensor energy. And their weapons? Jaiwoo hesitated. We can't identify most of them, but some appear to be simple kinetic projectile launchers. Projectiles? Against our shields? Taeho scoffed. The projectiles contain something else. Energy signatures we can't classify. Captain Minha's voice came through again. Admiral, I hope there are no hard feelings. We're really not looking for conflict. In fact, we'd love to arrange a proper technological exchange. I think both our civilizations could learn a lot from each other. Taeho considered his options carefully. The humans clearly possessed technology far beyond what Imperial intelligence had suggested. Their casual attitude toward Imperial power now seemed less like ignorance and more like confidence. I will consult with the Emperor, he said finally. This situation requires reconsideration. Wonderful, Minha replied. In the meantime, would you like a tour of one of our ships? Nothing classified, of course, but we could show you around the non-sensitive areas. Cultural exchange and all that. As Taeho agreed to the tour, one thought dominated his mind. In all his years serving the Empire, he had never needed to reconsider a first contact. Until now, Emperor Dohyan sat on his crystalline throne, tendrils twitching with rare agitation as he reviewed Admiral Taeho's report. Around him, the Imperial Council waited in uncomfortable silence. You mean to tell me, the Emperor finally spoke, that these humans, barely 1,000 years into space travel, possess technology that rivals our own? Yes, Your Radiance, Taeho replied, keeping his eyes lowered. But in different ways. Their approach to technology appears fundamentally different from Imperial methods. The Emperor considered this. I want to understand these humans. Send Scholar Jinwoo to study their world. We will invite a delegation of humans to our capital in return. 2 standard weeks later, Scholar Jinwoo returned from Earth. The normally composed academic appeared visibly shaken as he presented himself before the Emperor. Your Radiance, he began, the humans are. He hesitated, searching for the right word, remarkable. Explain, commanded Emperor Dohyan. Their entire history is shaped by conflict, Jinwoo said. Not just with other species, they had none to encounter, but with themselves. While we perfected one technology over centuries, they developed dozens of alternatives in decades. He activated a holographic display showing human history. They developed powered flight, then reached their moon just 66 years later. They split the atom, then harnessed fusion within one human lifetime. The Emperor leaned forward. And their military capabilities? Jinwoo looked uncomfortable. They appear paradoxical, Your Radiance. They haven't fought a major war among themselves in generations, yet they maintain military readiness. When I asked why, a human general told me, old habits die hard. As scholar Jinwoo continued his report, a parallel exchange was occurring on the imperial capital world. Human engineer Youngmi had been invited to observe imperial technology as part of the cultural exchange. In a high-security laboratory, Imperial technicians watched in horror as Youngmi casually disassembled a sacred shield generator, technology unchanged for 10,000 years. "This design is elegant," she commented, examining a crystal component. "Beautiful workmanship. But why route the power through these sequential amplifiers? That's just asking for a single point of failure." Chief Technician Minsu bristled. "That design was perfected by the great engineer Sunho in the Third Dynasty. It has remained unchanged for 10,000 years. That's the problem right there," Youngmi said, reconnecting circuits with surprising speed. 10,000 years without improvement? Where I come from, we have a saying, if it ain't broke, it still needs upgrading. To the technician's astonishment, when she reactivated the shield generator, its efficiency had improved by 40%. "How did you do that?" Minsu asked, his professional pride warring with curiosity. Youngmi smiled. "We humans figured out that anything that can go wrong, will go wrong, usually at the worst possible time. So we designed for failure, not perfection." As she worked, she chatted about Earth culture, explaining human concepts like vacation time, weekend hobbies, and practical jokes to increasingly fascinated Imperial technicians. Meanwhile, in another part of the Imperial capital, human diplomat Jaehyun was meeting with Imperial military officers. The topic had turned to human combat tactics. "Your ships seem designed for redundancy rather than efficiency," noted General Seo Jun, studying holographic images of human vessels. "Absolutely," agreed Jaehyun. "We have backup systems for our backup systems. If one engine fails, we have 3 more. If the bridge is destroyed, we can operate from 5 different control centers." "But such design is inefficient," protested the general. "Efficiency isn't very helpful when you're dead," Jaehyun replied with a smile. "We design our ships assuming things will go wrong in the worst possible way at the worst possible time." The general looked troubled. "Your people expect failure? This is a strange philosophy." "We prepare for it," Jaehyun corrected. "Big difference. When facing the unknown, we assume we don't know everything." Across the imperial capital, similar conversations were happening as humans freely shared their perspectives with curious imperial citizens. Word spread about the strange Deathworlders who approached problems from unexpected angles and laughed in the face of danger. Back in the throne room, Emperor Dohyun had reached a conclusion after hours of discussion. "These humans evolved on a planet with hundreds of predator species," he mused. "With punishing gravity, extreme weather, and constant natural disasters. They survived by adapting and overcoming, not by achieving perfection." Admiral Taeho nodded. "They call Earth a Goldilocks planet. They consider it perfect." The Emperor's tendrils waved in what might have been amusement. "If they consider the Death World perfect, perhaps we have more to learn from them than we realized." He turned to his advisors. "Prepare a new approach. These humans will not be conquered by force. They will become allies, not subjects." For the first time in 50,000 years of imperial history, a species would join the empire as equals rather than subjects. The age-old order was beginning to change. The grand hall of the imperial palace gleamed with crystalline light as delegates from across the galaxy gathered for an unprecedented event. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Galactic Empire was signing a treaty of alliance, not subjugation, with another species. Emperor Dohyun sat on his ancient throne, his 4 eyes watching carefully as the human representatives entered. Unlike the elaborate costumes worn by other species, the humans wore simple blue uniforms with small silver pins showing Earth's continents. We welcome the representatives of Earth, the Emperor announced, his voice carrying throughout the vast chamber. Diplomat Jaehyun stepped forward and bowed with perfect imperial form, a gesture that impressed many of the watching dignitaries. "We thank you for your welcome, Emperor Dohyun," he replied. "Earth is honored to forge this new relationship with the Galactic Empire." The treaty document floated on a gravity platform between them. It was unlike any agreement the Empire had ever created. Instead of detailing terms of surrender and resource extraction, it outlined mutual defense, cultural exchange, and technological cooperation. Many Imperial citizens watched the broadcast with confusion. Some with outrage. The Empire had always expanded through conquest. This new approach challenged 50 millennia of tradition. "Why should humans receive special treatment?" demanded High Senator Kyungdo, his scales flaring with indignation. "They should bow before Imperial might like all others." Admiral Taeho, standing nearby, gave a thin smile. "Perhaps you would like to command the subjugation fleet, Senator? I can arrange it immediately." The senator's scales flattened against his body. He had seen the classified reports of human military capability. "That won't be necessary," he muttered. After the ceremony, changes began spreading throughout Imperial space with surprising speed. Human innovations, not just technology but ideas, flowed into Imperial society. On the agricultural world of Nix 7, Imperial farmers watched in amazement as human agricultural expert Yunji demonstrated crop rotation techniques that increased yields by 60%. "But we've grown bartle grain the same way for 2,000 years, protested the local governor. "And that's wonderful," Yunji replied kindly. "But have you ever tried something new? Just to see what happens?" The concept was revolutionary in a society where tradition defined everything. In the shipyards orbiting the Imperial Forge world, human engineer Youngmi worked alongside Imperial designers to create a new class of vessel. The resulting ship combined Imperial elegance with human practicality and featured emergency systems that Imperial engineers had never considered necessary. "Why have 6 redundant life support systems?" asked Chief Engineer Min-soo. "Because 5 might not be enough," Youngmi answered simply. Most significant of all, the humans began quietly advocating for other species within the Empire. During a High Council meeting, Diplomat Jaehyun asked an unexpected question about the Vroden people, a species conquered centuries ago. "Why are Vroden citizens not permitted to serve in Imperial administration?" he asked innocently. The council chamber went silent. Such questions were never asked. "They are a subject race," explained Minister Wu Jin carefully. "It is not their place." "I see," Jaehyun nodded thoughtfully. "In our experience, diverse perspectives lead to better governance. Earth's nations found that including different viewpoints prevented blind spots in decision-making." The concept rippled through Imperial society like a stone dropped in still water. Other subject species watched with growing hope as humans spoke of representation and self-determination, dangerous ideas that had been suppressed for millennia. 6 months after the treaty signing, Admiral Taeho, now Ambassador Taeho, sat sharing a meal with Captain Minha aboard her ship. The Curiosity was orbiting a newly discovered world at the edge of Imperial space. "I've been meaning to ask you something," Taeho said, carefully using his eating utensils in the human style. "When we first met, you showed no fear. You laughed at our threats. Why?" Minha smiled, refilling his cup with the bitter human drink called coffee that he had grown to enjoy. "Honestly? We'd been observing your ships for weeks before you detected us. We knew your capabilities." Taeho nearly choked on his drink. "Impossible. Our sensors would have detected our stealth drones?" She laughed. "Taeho, we evolved on a planet where hiding from predators meant survival. We got really good at not being seen." The admiral turned ambassador considered this. "Your people continue to surprise me. In all my years serving the Empire, I never imagined becoming friends with a species we intended to conquer." "That's another human specialty," Minha replied, raising her cup. "Turning enemies into friends. We've had lots of practice with each other over the centuries." Across imperial space, the rigid hierarchy that had defined galactic civilization for 50,000 years was beginning to shift. Subject species were requesting rights previously unimaginable. Imperial citizens were questioning ancient traditions. And at the center of it all were the humans, a species too stubborn to know their proper place in the cosmic order. Emperor Dohayan, watching reports of these changes from his private chambers, did something no imperial citizen had ever witnessed. He laughed. 10,000 years of perfect order, he mused to his advisor, and it takes one species from a backwater planet to show us how stagnant we'd become. The Empire was changing. And for the first time in 50 millennia, its future was unpredictable.